Welcome to 247 Real Talk. Yes, I am back, and I'm as surprised as you are to be in front of the camera right now. Disclaimer right from the beginning, I am on painkillers right now, but I thought that I would come and bring you a really short podcast, and this time it's going to be an episode that's really short because I had surgery last Tuesday. I should have had some photos to show you the 12-inch long incision that basically split open my knee, and we went in there and replaced it. But I'm here. Pushed myself to do this episode because of the elections last night. It is Wednesday, November 6th at 7:07 p.m. And by now we have a new president-elect in President Donald Trump. There's a lot I have to talk about, but I'm going to really compress it, be quick, maybe speak a little faster. You have to listen carefully. But either way, I will be right back. We're going to get this quick episode on the road. All right, so I'm back. And again, welcome to all. Thank you so much. Let me first say, so much to pack into a short episode tonight, but let me first say thank you ever so much to every single one of you who didn't just reach out to me with well wishes, didn't just check on me after surgery, but did so repeatedly and have continued to do so. If I look, I'm like I'm sitting at a twisted angle. That's because I have my leg out sort of to the side, trying to get as comfortable as possible to do this quick episode, which I'd indicated before that would not happen for a few more weeks, but um, we've had a change of the guard, and I thought that I'd come and talk with you for a few minutes. So bear with me and try to absorb as much as I'm saying. Let me start with again welcoming all of you, thanking all of you. Um, I did have the surgery last Tuesday. Won't go into all the little details. Got to the hospital by 8 o'clock in the morning. Had the surgery by around 11:30. Was in the recovery room and somewhat semi-awake by I want to say 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Um, Surgeon said the surgery was successful, was routine, except for the amount of damage he encountered in my knee when he opened me up. So there was a lot of cutting of the bone and fitting and reconstruction, so to speak. Um, I'm so glad that I did the surgery and didn't put too much emphasis on listening to other people. My journey has been different. Today is probably the day when I used the most painkillers since I started. I'll tell you how I got to today. I haven't had a lot of pain in between. I had pain when I woke up in the hospital. I want to say by about 7 p.m. that night. The pain had gotten to about a 7. They gave me oxycodone, is it pronounced? Didn't do a lot. They had to give me additional painkillers in the IV. But since then, proper pain management. I think my surgeon, I'm going to shout him out, Dr. Munn from Orleans and Cohen in New York and Garden City, an amazing surgeon. He did cop to using a robot as part of the surgery, but it must have been amazing because my pain has been at a minimum almost. Painful seconds here and there when I turn my knee the wrong way. Um, been icing it a lot, mostly to deal with the swelling. It's swelled up quite big. Um, I've had an in-house home visiting therapist for 2 weeks. So for last week and this week, I think next Monday will be his last visit, and then I see my surgeon again next Wednesday for a follow-up. Um, Before I left the hospital, they made sure you walked. I had to walk on the walker. Had to do these therapy stairs, are like 4 stairs in the landing. They make you go up and down. Um, used the walker, the attendants, all the staff at LIJ in Franklin Avenue, Valley Stream, New York, are amazing. The accommodations, my own private room, all paid for by insurance, the treatment, the alertness, the responsiveness, the kindness, the respect, the care, second to none, at least for me. Granted, this is the first time I've ever stayed in the hospital overnight, but I've been to hospital before. I've been a patient in hospital in the ER before, but this was amazing. The menu in the, when you stay as a patient of oral and Cohen at LIJ, included things like steak, lamb chops, salmon, cheesecake, cobbler. I mean, it's just an amazing menu. I'm sorry if I'm touching my face a lot. I have allergies itching me tonight or bothering me. Um, but the stay was amazing. The care was amazing. Even the physical therapy people who came to help me to get started on my walking journey were incredible. Um, I came home with using the walker. Within 2 days, I was using the cane. A couple of days after that, I have been and continue to be able to walk without anything, albeit limping. Probably overdid it a bit. My physical therapist put me 2 steps back onto the walker today. 2 days ago, the bandage, the tight ear sealed, water sealed bandage was removed. The knee has healed nicely. You can see the sutures, you can see the long cut, but it's sealed. Amazing surgery, amazing job. My biggest struggle, I think, is at night and sleeping because I have to keep the foot elevated. So I put something under it and then it has to be kept straight. Nothing can be under the knee because you don't want it to heal with a bend. So sleeping hasn't been easy. But pain wise, you know, everyone you talk to and everyone I spoke to prior to this surgery told me, how difficult it would be. And, people tried to discourage me. And I can tell you has been nothing short of uh, successful. I know that when the therapist bends my knee, the pain's excruciating. I know that I probably have 2 or 3 months of physical therapy coming out, outpatient, that are going to bring tears to my eyes. But, everyone said that the first 10, 12 days was the hardest. And today is day 8. And unless I've got 4 more days coming with excruciating discomfort, it's really been a blessed experience, and I'm thankful for it, considering I have to do the next knee. So that's where I am. Short episode again. I'm sitting sideways. I've burned about 8 minutes already. My knee is heavy. It's not the easiest to get in and out of bed. My bed is kind of high. Raising the knee on my own is kind of difficult. I have a strap, but I've been pushing myself to do it on my own. I'm trying to strengthen the knee, been doing the exercises. And like I said, the only reason I'm on here today is because we have President elect Donald Trump. Now, in the week prior to the election, many people reached out to me as a podcast and said, "Who do you think is going to win?" And I kept telling them, "Don't be surprised if Donald Trump does." So I just want to say a few things to you, and then I'm going to be on my way. I don't think I can possibly have a long episode and dissect what happened in any level of credibility, or because the days following the election, especially one that was as unprecedented as this was, and unpredictable as this was, there is a lot to unpack, a lot to think about. So I'm going to give you a few quick things to think about and take with you. First of all, again, I'm going to ask you to please remember to like, share, and subscribe. If you guys recall, in the 2 episodes prior to this election, I came down pretty hard on us, the American people, and on President Trump, for his behavior, for his rhetoric, and I immediately lost like 50 to 100 subscribers. Why is that important? Not because of the subscribers. I don't do this for monetization, monetary compensation. But what it is how personal people are taking this election because you have an opinion about someone else. I had an opinion about someone else, about President Trump. I've been critical for the last 2 years about the Biden administration and about Trump, and people take it personally. What's almost hilarious about that, humorous about that, is the people who unsubscribe, the people who take this personally, probably have never met him in person. Most of them, maybe all of them, probably never will. He'll never know their name. He'll never meet them. He'll never care what their concerns are. But look what has happened to us over the last 4 years, and especially over the last two. I know probably a dozen families that are completely broken forever. Brothers and sisters, husbands and wives who don't speak to other members of the family, kids who are not speaking to their parents, over candidates in a political system, candidates who have no direct impact, whose policies may never trickle down to us. Yet we have broken our blood ties forever in our lives. We have created uh, agitation. We have broken relationships that may never be mended over someone, a name, Harris or Trump, who we should be meaningless when it comes to our blood and the people who support us and our immediate family. I wanna say now comes the mending, but we have broken things so far. I'm not sure what mending is. But there's a few things I want you to take with you. One, irrespective of what Harris campaigned on, irrespective of what Trump campaigned on, our political system is so designed that if they get 30% accomplished of what they have promised, that's a big deal. So most of what you've been fighting about and broken your ties with your loved ones over will never become something tangible in your lifetime. Two, President Trump won both the Electoral College and the popular vote. And that made me stop and ponder for a while. And here's a few things to take with you. One, I've begun to realize that we have become a selfish nation. Before, we would vote based on a cause for a larger number of people so that majority or larger numbers could progress. We've gone through so much hatred that we vote for ourselves, not caring about the next person. So what this nation did was vote for ourselves selfishly, and therefore what what ideas were sold to groups really didn't have an impact. Two, President Trump in all of his ways, let's just call him ways. Unless, the name calling, I don't do. My view has always been independent down the middle. You know this about me. I don't need to repeat it. I like things and dislike things about both sides. But what I think happened here is he made himself and showed himself as a human being, like people we already know in our lives. People who have bad habits, bad traits, good traits, people we like, dislike. He became so human that he resonated with so many. And I think Washington overall is to blame for that. Many of the episodes you've heard me talk about talk about the aristocracy in Washington. They created themselves as a body that is higher above us, that looks down on us. And so for all the time that all the years and all the presidents we've voted for, we've always voted for some body, some organization, some candidate that was put on a pedestal that was not one of us. And I think what Donald Trump managed to do is break that ceiling in the sense that people feel they voted for someone who was just like the neighbor. Three, Joe Biden stayed in the race very long when it was it was very early that it was recognizable that he couldn't make it to the end of the race. So he gave VP Harris a very short time to present herself to the American people, to the nation. Prior to her becoming vice president candidate, and I think I said this in the previous episode, I did not know a lot about her. And I guess that was my reflection of the American people. You take a person who was not that known nationwide, a woman of color, and someone who was tied to the current administration that for one reason or another, whether it be economics, whether it be the fact that we saw Joe Biden break down in health in front of us and cause us to feel vulnerable, whether it's because we feel that the nation is going in the wrong direction, whether it was immigration, whether it was um, whatever it was, she could not present herself to us as a new candidate, as fresh blood, because she had such a thin line she had to walk being tied to this current administration as the vice president. That's a hard position to be in and a hard battle to fight and win. Had she been an outside candidate, had nothing to do with the vice president or president of the current administration, I think, not saying she would have won, but I think she would have been able to present herself to the American people in a way that people would have seen her as fresh and new or different. That's how people see Donald Trump, completely different from Washington. And then as a body, and I've said this before, people are tired of Washington. Look, again, people are running around panic. People spoke to me today. They're disillusioned, they're disheartened, they're sad, they're disturbed, they're fearful. I would tell them to take all those emotions, tie them up, and put them in a bucket and drop it down a well. What happens over the next 4 years may look nothing like what we fear or what we think is going to happen. We've got wars going on in a world that, even though Donald Trump says he's going to bring about peace to, I'm not sure he can. Because what is happening in the wars that I talked about a long time ago, many episodes, that could be the underbelly and the seeds that are planted for World War III, it's a life of its own. Solving the issue with Hamas and Israel and the Palestinians, I don't care who you are, Harris, Biden, Trump, that's not something that we can just walk in and think that we have the power. Even Donald Trump, who says he's the greatest everything can do. No, you can't. Solving the long war with Ukraine and Russia that now people in both sides have taken personally. They've attacked each other. They've killed tens of thousands of each other. No, you can't solve it like that. Iran is now in it. Sanctions on Iran may backfire and may offer a result that's very unexpected. The battle that Donald Trump has to fight as president, I don't envy him. And I think he will find himself so preoccupied with what's going on in the world that it'll be hard to get much done domestically. And a lot of the things that he wants to change, I think many of them require a majority vote, not just by party, but I think some of them may require 2/3 votes. I'm not sure. Either way, I didn't see up to tonight how the House is broken down. I know the Republicans have retaken the Senate, but these things end up in presidents being as close to a lame duck as possible. So I want to urge everyone to sit back, relax, take a deep breath. For those of you who chose not to vote at all, be quiet. It doesn't matter what the outcome was, you don't have a say. For those of you who voted and struggled with your vote, you exercised your right, a right that people have lost their lives on your behalf to make a reality. For the rest of us, they said, buckle up because look what's to come. I'm not so sure. Even people who were overly animated when President Trump won the first time are celebrating, but I've noticed that their celebrations are subdued because I think even they are not sure in this world that has changed drastically over the last 4 years what his presidency will look like. President Trump himself will want to leave a legacy, and he can't leave a legacy that is positive by implementing all those things that he said he would, because before they become anything, there's one thing they will be, and that is confusing, controversial, and creating divisiveness in half of our nation. I'm not sure that's a legacy he wants to leave. And this being his second term, this is the only chance he gets to leave that legacy. We'll see who he surrounds himself with. People are concerned that he's going to surround himself with people who are bound for revenge and all these things. If he squanders what he's been given here by not only the electoral college but by the popular vote, then what he will do will be more damaging to himself and his party long after he's gone. So while he can celebrate victory for a moment, this is no ride in the park. This is what I'm going to do now. I execute. I promise you. Take it easy. Relax. And remember that you hear me say all the time, get involved. You have to be part of the solution. For those of you who listen to me each week, and yes, you raise me up and you support me, but after the episode is over, you move on and you don't actually get involved or do something deliberate towards getting involved. Now is the time for you to recognize how much you have squandered a chance already at being a part of change for the betterment of your lives today and for those generations to come. People who are on the side of history will decide who this election was on the right side and on the wrong side. I think there's a lot of surprises to come. And I think that a lot of people who were overly jubilant will question their jubilance by the time we go into the second year of this 4-year term. I even have this level of optimism that President Trump may surprise a lot of people in his actual enactment and carrying forth his policies. And he may disappoint a lot of his own base because he may not end up doing it the way he campaigned about and the way he initially planned. Life changes. Time changes us. For those of you who fought with all that you had to elect VP Harris, you fought a brilliant fight. You fought a hard fight, but you started behind the 8 ball. And your fight was improbable because of all those circumstances. One more thing I want to point out, and then I'm going to wrap this up. For those of you who constantly look at my previous episodes and come back and check me on what I've said, I want you to check me on this. There was an episode I talked about the fact that I was worried that VP Harris was made heir to the throne when Biden stepped down. That Biden was nominated for the position by the Democratic base, and that a process of selection and voting and choice of the candidate to replace him should have gone forward. Even if it still ended up a VP Harris, that part, that Democratic part was missing. And I'm not sure how many of the Democratic base it secretly alienated. When you look at the popular vote and you look at the people who voted for President Trump, there are those we expected, but there's a lot of unexpecteds in there who did. His insults of Puerto Rico, or not him, but the people he chose to support him and represent him, we would have thought that there would have been a lot more damage, but there wasn't. People are more accepting of a lot of things now and focusing on the few things they can get that they feel are critical to their daily lives. The world is changing. The world is following biblical prophecy. So don't be so surprised, whomever you are or whichever side you're on. I am so happy to be able to sit here in a bit of discomfort, but to speak with you in this episode. We have turned the page. It's time to move forward. Each of us will find opportunities now where decisions will be progressing that we disagree with. Things will be happening that we have the opportunity to push back on, to stand our ground, and to impact policy. If we now get it, that sitting on the sidelines in this day and age is no longer an option if your quality of life for yourself and for your children and grandchildren is really important to you. For those people on both sides, whether you believe in your creator or not, I'm a spiritual man, you know this. There are those of you out there who prayed and prayed for a different outcome. And now your faith is struggling. Some of you are shattered. There's going to be a percentage of you who have said you don't believe anymore, you've lost faith because you prayed. But who said that your prayers had to be answered and in the way you asked? Always remember, and I've said to you before, God chooses. That's why so many prayers end up saying, Thy will be done. His ways are so much bigger than ours. What we see with our eyes and feel with our hearts is so microscopic in the bigger picture of life that what we deem to be impactful may have very little meaning in the way this world is shaped and in what God's will is. When you pray, we pray, Thy will be done. And however this turns out for time to come, I promise you two things. If you take the time to at least read the Bible and understand the direction of our world and what the Bible says, then nothing has happened here differs. Also, take this with you. What happened in this election, the outcome of the election, no matter which side you're on, and what is about to happen, is not a surprise to God. It is something that some people won, some people lost, depending on which side you were on. But this is not something that is a shock to God. So if you're someone who truly believes in who you are and whose you are, then understand that no matter what happens, you are okay. Because at the end of the day, understand it. While it makes no sense to us, when our knees are bruised because we stood there on bended knee and we prayed for an outcome, there's nothing that says that the outcome you prayed for is God's will. If you have faith, then have faith that whatever is happening, you will be okay because you are a child of God, because you love, obey, fear, honor, and praise your Creator, because you acknowledge who you are and whose you are. And once you get to that level of understanding, as the Bible said, there is a peace that surpasses all understanding. Please like, share, comment. Let's get more people moving in the right direction. If I can be here with a knee with a 12-inch long incision, with pain meds, and still standing strong in faith, knowing that we will be okay, then despite how you're feeling in this moment, this too shall pass. If you choose to do the right thing, if you choose to put your best foot forward, if you choose to be the righteous person with the righteous attitude, even when you feel things are all wrong, I promise you that when the smoke clears, you'll be okay. Just remember, we don't choose. God chooses. And as long as you know who you are, whose you are, and that His will be done, it's time to march forward, head held high, no matter which side you are on, and work towards the common good of mankind and humankind. Because like I said to you before, where you were before, on Monday, before the election, and where you are today has not changed. The journey is the same. The fight is the same. The faith needed is the same. And your involvement is still needed. Your energy is still needed. And your will has to be stronger. Your desire has to be the same. God bless you all. Thanks again for being a part of your lives. Didn't expect to be on here tonight, but I am. I'm sitting a little low. My chair's a little lower because my foot has to be extended. But you mean so much to me. And my opportunity and blessing to speak with you and earn my right to be here means so much to me that I thought, no matter what, it was important that we have this talk. Thank you again for all you do and for all that you are. Continue to put one foot in front of the other. Continue to make sure that despite the noise around you, you take care of yourselves and each other.